After 11 years of chronic insomnia, taking sleeping pills every night, and being told by doctors some people just can't sleep, my client Mark was ready to give up hope. He tried everything: CBTI, sleep studies, sleep specialists, perfect sleep hygiene, yet he still couldn't sleep through the night. Sound familiar? Well, Mark's story is about to shatter everything you think you know about untreatable insomnia. Today, you're going to hear directly from Mark himself about his remarkable transformation. Not just sleeping better, but feeling completely like himself again. He's reduced his sleep medications by 80%, hasn't experienced anxiety in months, can handle any mental load during the day, and describes feeling back to himself in a way he hadn't experienced in over a decade. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why traditional sleep medicine failed him for 11 years. You'll discover the hidden health imbalances that were stealing both his sleep and his daytime energy. And you'll learn exactly how functional lab testing revealed root causes that no doctor had ever looked for. If you've been struggling with that wired but tired feeling, anxiety about sleep, or feeling like a shadow of your former self during the day, Mark's story will show you there's real hope. His transformation proves that when you address what's really happening in your body, you don't just sleep better, you get your life back. This is the Sleep Detective Podcast, where you will learn why you can't sleep and how to fix it naturally. I'm Martha Lewis. I've been a functional health and life coach for the past 5 years, and I've helped over 200 clients find and fix the root causes of their health issues so they can consistently sleep 7 to 9 hours without drugs, even if they've tried lots of other things. Now let's dive into Mark's incredible journey from 11 years of desperation to complete freedom from sleep anxiety, and discovered how he reclaimed not just his nights, but his entire sense of well-being. Hello, everyone. Today I have Mark here on the show, and he is a former client. And so we are going to talk about his experience in the program and how he's doing now. So thanks so much for being here, Mark.
It's my pleasure, Martha.
Awesome. Well, to get started, I'd love to hear, what you were experiencing when you started the program and came to me. And I know you found out about the program through your son who was having similar issues. So, yeah, what were you experiencing?
Oh, really just not being able to sleep, um, and taking, sleeping pills, feeling terrible. Um, I've been dealing with this about 11 years. Prior to that, I had short, little, 1 or 2 nights where I wouldn't sleep, but for the most part, I did. I was
Okay.
susceptible to, um, to any kind of stimuli that would, keep my mind going. But, I did fine until 11 years ago. And since then, I've been through a couple of decent recoveries, but 3 horrible bouts. And I was in the middle of, I would say in the middle or early stages of my coming back out of the horrible bout. And I actually ran across you first on YouTube. And because I've studied this, I've done everything that you could do, CBT, and all those things. So you came up as one of my suggestions on YouTube. And I listened to you once or twice and thought, man, he's has a different approach than a lot of what I have ever seen before. So, just not being able to sleep, feeling terrible, anxiety about sleeping or anxiety about feeling bad or anxiety about nothing. It seems to all for me, it snowballs.
Mm.
Once, I can miss a whole night of sleep and be fine. But once they start to compound, I get less and less rational. And it seems like I have less and less control over what my mind does or where my mind goes or what, all those things are. And, it comes to a point where I can't do anything about it anymore. I can't suppress it. I can't help. It's just, I'm in a bad place. And I wasn't at the worst. Was on my way of rebounding out of that at the time. But, when my son started dealing with exactly the same thing that I deal with, starting about the same age when I started dealing with it, I would do anything to help him. So I suggested that he, take a look at your program. And of course, he was desperate. And so the fact that he was willing to do it meant I would just wait and see how that went. If he wasn't interested in doing it, then I would have probably done the program first. But he started the program, and after I saw how things were starting to go and him starting to improve, then I signed up for the program as well.
Yes, which I'm so glad. So, because you mentioned you've tried a lot of things, right? And everyone coming to me has also tried a lot of things. I mean, I tried a lot of things too, so I get it. So, yeah. So, what did you think was different about this approach?
Well, uh, I had went to, the doctors and, talked to them about it. And you can, they'll give you sleeping pills, but they don't really have much to say about it. It's like
Mhm.
something's not right here. So then, I went to a sleep specialist who, did a sleep study. I'm all for it. I got to, we've got to figure out what's going on here. So I went and did a sleep study. Really, all the sleep study was about was determining that I didn't have sleep apnea.
Mhm.
I knew I didn't have sleep apnea, but I was desperate. I
Yeah.
didn't care. I just wanted help. And so did the sleep study and well, whatever. I thought I might have sleep apnea. So I got a machine. I couldn't sleep with that machine. I couldn't sleep anyway. But that math one, it ain't never gonna happen.
Right.
So, that I just did it because I was desperate. And eventually, I managed to come through that and, you know, 2 years, I finally get enough better to get down on the sleeping pills to where I didn't take them every night, and then I went through, everything went perfect for a while. And then all of a sudden here it comes roaring back again. And so, this last time about a year ago, I guess it was, I'm desperate again. So, I look up sleep specialists where I'm at now in Northwest Arkansas, where they have great doctors and great medical facilities here. And I thought, man, this is going to be great. Well, as I figure out, is the pulmonary doctor. Well, is that they're only looking for sleep apnea. And I'm like, I'm not doing another sleep study. That's not what I have. I don't have sleep apnea. Well, some people just can't sleep. Okay, and so obviously when, and I did all the research. That's why you were a suggestion in my YouTubes because, I've done all the YouTubes on CBT and I could teach a course on sleep hygiene. So, your approach was just totally a different approach where it includes all those things, but it also includes, your health as well. And I was like, you know, well, I'm a little bit skeptical that we can fix my sleep because I was, there's just something wrong with me. My mother, has basically the same kind of issues with sleep as well and has since I can remember. But certainly, the things that you look for in your program and your testing are something that no one else that I have found, doing. And uh, certainly would be health beneficial if, if not helping my sleep.
Right.
So it was definitely worth looking at, just from that aspect of it. And by the way, it did help my son's sleep, and it's helped him immensely. Um, and so, I followed in behind him, probably 3 months or so behind him, and into the program.
Yeah. And it's so interesting you brought up your mother having sleep troubles too. And because I was just talking to Matt before, before we just got on, and we were talking about how there is a genetic component to it, but it doesn't mean that you're destined to live with it. Like some of us, when we get out of balance, it's our sleep that gets affected, and we might have genetic kind of mutations that specifically affect sleep. But it doesn't mean that you are never going to be able to sleep, because when the body's in balance, it can sleep. So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
that's part of the different approach. You look deeper and look harder for the health imbalances, the imbalances you know, it's obvious. My wife is probably almost always asleep within 5 minutes of her head touching the pillow. I've seen it happen in 90 seconds. I'm not ever going to sleep that good. I don't care how balanced I get. Yeah, it's not going to be that great. But,
Yeah.
just being on the program and going through your protocols and everything has greatly helped me. It's helped me with my sleep. I have greatly diminished, the sleep aids that I was taking, down to, probably 80% uh, decreased, and on my way to completely. Because I'm feeling better, and I feel so much better, and I'm so grateful for feeling good. I'm not in as big a hurry as I was when I started, uh, because I'm 80% there. And I feel good, and I don't want to feel, but I just don't want to feel bad anymore. So I'm taking it super gradual, but my sleep is improved, but the way I feel during the day has been easily probably more noticeable than even my sleep improvement. I haven't had any kind of anxiety in, months and months at any time. Um, I can handle all kinds of load, you know, mental load. Um, you know, Now, and I'm back to pretty much back to myself, during the day. And I know that I know the other two times as I gradually came out of the roughest parts in the last 11 years, I know when I'm starting to really get there, because like I'm always exhausted, in the afternoon. I'm pretty early riser, and in the afternoon, I'm always exhausted. And, 6 months ago, I was exhausted, and I'd lay down on the sofa and I'd just give anything to doze off to sleep. This is totally not going to happen. 100% impossible. And now if I've got anything going on, I never feel tired, in the afternoon. But if I don't have anything going on, nothing occupying, then maybe I get a little tired. I can lay down on the sofa, and probably 7 times out of 10, if I stay there long enough, I'll start to doze off. And so, that's a positive sign that means my body can do it. Like before, it was impossible. It was impossible during the day, and I had to knock myself out at night, or I would, at the worst times, I could lay there all night, and it never happened. Matter of fact, I could go to bed and be so tired I couldn't move. And an hour to an hour and a half later, I could get up and it's over. I could get up and say, forget it. Let me just go to the shop and go work on something, because it's almost like I was so fatigued that my body had to rest. And after my body rested for a little bit, it was like, man, I'm wired, and the phrase, uh, wired, tired.
Hmm.
That was me, so that's all behind me now. And the thing that, my goal going forward is to never think back into that, into that deep hole again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy too. I mean, a lot of people tell me this, that they lose their ability to nap. And it's like, I'm not sleeping at night and then I can't even nap during the day. So you're right. It's totally a good sign when you are able to, when you're in that relaxed state to be able to take a little nap and sleep well at night. It's like
Yeah.
body's
Yeah.
back to balance.
It just tells you that, you're in a lot better place. I'm not a napper and I don't, but sometimes when I'm watching something on television or something like that, it happens. And, it's a great feeling. It's such an awful feeling to be so fried and not have slept very much and so long and lay down and not be able to sink off into a light sleep or anything. People that haven't dealt with this
Hmm.
don't realize and they don't get it. They
Yeah.
absolutely can't comprehend that it is actually a form that's used as a form of torture. And honestly, it can really be brutal.
Yep. I agree. So, yeah, what did you think was most significant that the test results showed? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. The mineral being out of balance was
Mm,
surprising because obviously I, you know, thought I took gobs of magnesium,
mm,
and being deficient in magnesium was a huge surprise because I was all over that and taking more than a lot of people would regularly take. And I was still deficient in that. But a lot of those test results did make sense. The low serotonin, gut problems really makes sense. If you study all of this, that really makes sense. Some of the gut problems that, having no good gut bacteria are kind of surprising. The way I have eaten for the last 20 years certainly would have to be in the top 10% or 15%
mhm.
for eating healthy, and eating good foods and having healthy lifestyle and, you work out 5 days a week and all those kinds of things. Um, so that was very surprising as well. Um, Mold toxicity was, I just still don't really know where that came from, but I think that it's been present for a long time. And
Mhm.
I wonder if it sounds crazy, but my mind goes through, I wore a helmet every weekend for years and years and years, did a lot of sweating. And, I had some helmets that I wore for the better part of the whole season, the whole race season, and they didn't smell good, obviously. I had white, salty sweat,
Mhm.
and I don't know. It could have been from those nasty helmets that I wore. Um, it's hard to say. I even had, I had two different mold tests on our current home to eliminate that. And there was no mold in the home. So, but anyway, we did the protocol for that. We did the protocol for Pyroli X, for or H power Pyroli.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and yeah, it's quite a commitment that you make. But I saw it work for Matt, and so I stuck with it. It took a little longer for me to see results because I've probably been in the deep hole for a lot longer than he had been. So I didn't really start seeing results for probably 2 months, and then it started to kind of steamroll and continue through the next 3 months, really. And I've kind of stabilized at a good place. And I feel like if I just, keep going, that I'll continue to even improve from here.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I really think that your program would help people. Like I said, you have such a comprehensive approach with the CBT and the sleep hygiene and the education part of your program is really strong and would be extremely beneficial to anyone in itself, along with, of course, what the area that I really needed, which was the testing and that side of it. So for me to benefit from it, I think is a testament to your program because I was already there on one big piece of it, and the other piece I was totally missing because there was no one else that was even interested in looking at the kinds of things that you looked at. And since I've started the program and looked at more YouTube stuff and listened to you as well, I've come to realize that, yeah, if you can't sleep, there's something going on. Everybody should be able to sleep. Not everybody should be able to sleep great or as good as the next person, but your body, it wants to sleep. It has to sleep. That's part of it. And you've said that, and so many other people have said that now. But I had never got that from a traditional, medical doctor. They know what they're trained in. And if you don't have what they're trained in, they just kind of look at you and shake your head and you leave there feeling empty. There's no hope. So I highly recommend anyone who's, watches this that is on the fence about joining your program. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I agree. I mean, most people I'm working with, the medical system has not been able to help them, unfortunately. And so, yeah, we've got to dig deeper to the root cause and find out what's out of balance, what isn't healthy in the body. And that was the answer for me as well. It's like the sleep hygiene stuff is great. It's not going to cure chronic insomnia. Like it can help you get better sleep, but yeah, we've got to dig deeper to really get to the root of what's causing that. So, yes, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing.
Mark's story is living proof that chronic insomnia isn't something you have to accept as your normal forever. After 11 years of sleepless nights, anxiety, and feeling like a shell of himself, Mark discovered what so many of my clients learn. There's always a reason why your body can't sleep. And when we find those root causes through functional lab testing, everything changes. Think about Mark's transformation. He went from being completely dependent on sleep medications to reducing them by 80% and on his way to being off them completely. He was having constant anxiety, and now it's been months without a single anxious moment. He went from being wired and tired to actually being able to nap when his body needs rest, and from feeling like something was fundamentally wrong with him to feeling completely back to himself again. And this is what I want you to know. Mark isn't special or lucky. What happened for him can happen for you too. The difference is that we stopped guessing and started testing. So we looked at his gut health, hormone balance, mineral levels, and neurotransmitter function, all the areas that traditional sleep medicine completely ignores. And just like Mark, when we address those imbalances, his body remembered how to sleep naturally. If Mark's story resonates with you, if you've tried everything, been told, oh, some people just can't sleep, or you're living with that constant anxiety about bedtime, I want you to know that there's hope. You don't have to spend another decade struggling like Mark did. You don't have to accept sleepless nights as your reality. And you definitely don't have to live with that wired but tired feeling that really steals your day. If you want to be like Mark and finally fix your sleep issues, you want to book a free consultation to get started. On that call, we'll talk about what you're experiencing. I'll explain exactly how my complete sleep solution program works, and we'll determine if functional lab testing is a missing piece you've been searching for. Just like Mark discovered, when you finally address the real reasons your body can't sleep, you don't just get better rest, you get your life back. Your energy returns, your anxiety disappears, and you feel like yourself again. So book your consultation today at thesleepdetective.com or at the link in the show notes. And let's start your detective work to uncover what's really keeping you awake. You are meant to sleep well, and I'm here to make that happen. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you next week.